Yeah.
Joey came in.
Okay, well, we will begin Mincha and hopefully pick up a few more people along the way. But we'll begin Mincha on page 1 in the blue Siddur Sim Shalom, page 164 in the old Sim Shalom, and page 289 in Lev Shalem.
Ashrei Yoshvei B'techa, Od Yalecha Salah. Sharonai Elohati Lala David.
Wow. Yeah, I think it made that pausing the check. Are you muted now?
Hila Adonai Yidaber Pi Vivarech Kol Basar Shem Kotrol Olam Ba'ed Anachnu Nevarech Yah Me'at Aviad Olam Hallelujah.
On page 3 in Siddur Sim Shalom, page 168 in Siddur Sim Shalom, the old version, and page 291 in Lev Shalem, we'll continue with the Amidah in private prayer.
See, I skipped the one. Got it. Yeah.
No, not yet. No, I'm gonna call Al Gold.
Okay, we'll continue with Aleinu, page 11, page 196, or page 301 respectively.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol lated gedula liotzer breshit shelo asanu kigoye haratzot velo samanu kimishpat ha'adama shelo sam chelkenu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'mokim Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu,
Yes, well,
Shehu Noter Shamayim ve'Yosed Haaretz, U'Moshe V'Karo b'Shamayim Mima'al, U'Shechinatu Zo, V'Govei Meromim, Hu Eloheinu Ein Od, Emet Malkeinu Efes Ulato, Takatu B'Torato, V'yadata hayom v'hashivota elevavecha. Ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, b'shamayim mimal, v'al haaretz mitachat, ein od.
Okay, Nick,
We're still gonna need you.
I know,
But you don't.
just call me when you need me, okay?
Kakatuv b'toratecha b'nayim loch le'olam va'ed b'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol ha'aretz bayom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
Paul, is Sally still with you?
Yes. Sal, please. Yes, please.
Kaddish Yatom for mourners and those observing Yortzeit. Yit Gadal v'Yit Gadash Shemei Rabbah. B'Alma Divra Kirutei B'Yamlich Malchutei. B'Chai Echon V'Yom Echon V'Chai B'Chol Beit Yisrael. Agala U'Vizman Kariv V'Imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Barach La'olam La'mei Amayim. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran v'yalma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Says Shalom B'Mama, Hui Ases Shalom, Aleinu V'Yal Kol Yisrael V'Imru, Amen. Chavirim, you may be seated. Our service continues on page 254 in the old Sim Shalom, page 14 in the new Sim Shalom, and page 10 in Lev Shalem. 252.
Yedi nefesh of harachaman meshoch el ritzonach yarut avdach kemo hayam yishtachavel el mul hadara Yeflo yedidutach minofetuf v'chol ta'am hadorna ziv ha'olam nafshi cholat ahavatach Ana el narefana la beharot la noam zivach as titchazek betitrape behaitalach shivchat olam Vatikyemu rachamecha b'chusna al benohavach ki zekah נכסוף נכסף, לראות בתפארת עוזך. אנא אלי, מחמד ליבי, חושנה ואל תתעלם. יגאלנה ופרוס חביב עלי את סוכת שלומך. תאיר ארץ מכבודך, נגילה ונשמחה בך. מהר אהוב היווה מועד בכונני כימי עולם. Yadadai dai dai dai, yadadai dai dai dai, yadadai dai 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 dai, yadadai dai dai, yadadai dai dai dai, yadadai dai dai dai, yadadai dai 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 dai, yadadai dai dai, yadadai dai dai dai, yadadai dai dai dai, yadadai dai 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 dai, yadadai dai dai, yadadai dai dai dai, yadadai dai dai dai. Yada die 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 die. Lechu neranena ladonai naria letzur yishenu nekadma banav betada bizmirot naria lo nekadma banav betada bizmirot naria lo. Ki el gadol Adonai umelech gadol al kol Elohim asher be'ado mechkerei haaretz v'to'afot harim lo asher be'ado mechkerei haaretz v'to'afot harim lo.
Let us go and sing to Adonai. Let us trumpet praise to our protector. Filled with thanks, let us greet God, raising our voice in song. Great is Adonai, a greater sovereign than all other deities. God's hands formed the earth's deep. Mountain crests too are God's work. The sea is God, for God made it. Dry land was fashioned by God's hands. Come then, let us bow and kneel. Let us bend our knees in the presence of Adonai who formed us.
Arva'im shana kut v'dor v'omaram to'e levavhem v'hem lo yadu derachai asher nishbati v'api im yivavun el menuchati. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai baruchu shemo, basru miyom liyom yeshuato, sapru v'goyim kevodo, b'chol ha'amim niflotav, ki gadol Adonai. Hulal me'od, norahu, al kol Elohim, yadai, ki kol Elohei ha'amim elilim, v'Adonai shamayim asa, hod v'hadar lefanav, oz v'tiferet b'mikdasho, Havul Adonai mishpachot amim, Havul Adonai kavod va'oz. Havul Adonai kevod shemo, Se'u mincha ובואו לחצרותיו, ידי השתחוו לאדוני, בהדרת קודש, צילו מפניו כל הארץ. אמרו בגויים, אדוני מלך, אף תיכון תבל בל תימות, ידין עמים במישרים, ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ. ירם הים ומלואו, יעלו שדי, וכל אשר בו ידי, אז ירננו כל עצי יער, לפני אדוני קיווה לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, ועמים באמונתו, ידי
Adonai reigns, let the earth be glad, the many distant lands rejoice. Clouds and thick darkness surround the divine, righteousness and justice secure God's throne. Fire goes before God, consuming besiegers round about. Flashes of lightning illumine the land, the earth watches and trembles. Mountains melt like wax at the approach of Adonai, at the approach of the master of all the earth. The heavens tell of God's righteousness, and all the nations see God's glory. You, Adonai, are above all that is earthly, exalted over all that is worshipped as divine. Light is sown for the righteous and joy for the upright. Rejoice in Adonai, you righteous people, and thank God as you pronounce the divine holy name.
Or zaru ala tzadik, uleYisrael simcha. Or zaru ala tzadik, uleYisrael simcha. Simchu tzadikim b'Adonai, v'hodu lezecher kodsho. Simchu tzadikim b'Adonai, v'hodu lezecher kodsho.
More Shirlana, Kiri Lafota, Orki Elohim is Rock Chodin, and Egolim Tepo, O Zachar, Kasdo Matalami Travel.
Zamru Adonai Bechinor, Bechinor Bekol Zimra, Bachatzot Rot Vekol Shofar. Hariu Lifnei HaMelech Adonai, Yiram HaYam Tevel v'yoshveva, neharot imcha uchav yachad, harim yeranenu. Lifnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel betzedek. Ve'amim b'meisharim, Yiram hayam umlo, Tevel ve'yoshveva, Neharot imcha uchav yachad, harim yeranenu.
Adonai reigns, nations tremble. The one enthroned amidst the Kruvim makes the world quake. Adonai is great in Zion above all nations. They shall acknowledge your name, saying, Great, awe-inspiring Holy One. A sovereign strength lies in the love of justice, and you forge the paths of truth, judging Jacob righteously and justly. Exalt Adonai our God, bow down before God, the Holy One. Moses and Aaron among God's priests, and Samuel among those who called upon the divine name. They called to you and you answered them. You spoke to them from amidst the cloud. They kept your covenant and the law you gave them. Exalt Adonai our God and bow down at God's holy mountain, for Adonai our God is holy.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu.
We rise as able and continue page 20 in Sidur Sim Shalom, page 21 in Leiv Shalem, and page 260 in Old Sim Shalom.
Mizmor leDavid, Havul Adonai ben Elim, Havul Adonai kavod va'oz, Havul Adonai kivod shemo, Ishtachavu Adonai behadrat kodesh, Kol Adonai al hamayim, El hakavod hirim, Adonai al mayim rabim, Kol Adonai b'kawach, Kol Adonai behadar, Kol Adonai shover arazim, Vaishaber Adonai et arzei halvanon, Vayarkidem kemoegel, Levanon veSiryon kemo then re'emim. Kol Adonai chotzev lavatesh, Kol Adonai yachil midbar, yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, Kol Adonai yacholel ayalot, vayachestof ye'arot, uvhechalo kulo mer kavod, kulo omer kavod. Adonai lamabul yashav, Vayeshev Adonai melech le'olam, Adonai os le'amo yitain, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom.
Chavirim, you may be seated as we continue with Lecha Dodi.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad hishmianu, El hamyuchad Adonai echad, U'shemo echad l'shem ol tiferet ve'elitila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor ha'beracha merosh mikedem, Nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Mikdash melech melucha kumitzei, Mitoch hafecharav lach shevet, Be'emek habacha v'hu yachamol, alayich hamla, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Hidna ari me'afar kumi livshi bigte, Pifatecha mi al yad ben Yishai, Be'etalach mi korva el nafshi, Nafshi ge'ala, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Hitoreri kiva orech, kumi ori uri, shir daberi kevod Adonai, alayich nitla, lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Lo tevashi v'lo tikami ma tishtachachi u'ma tahmi bach yachasu ani ami v'nivneta ir al tila lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela v'hayulim shisa Shosayich v'rachaku kol mevalayich yasisalayich Elohayich kimsos chatan al kala lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela yaminu smol Tifrati ve'et Adonai, Ta'ariti al yadish, Ben parti ve'nismecha, Ve'nagila, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Boi v'shalom ateret bala, Gam besimcha, Uvetzala toch emune am segula boichala lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela.
Saverim, you may be seated as we continue Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat.
Mizmor shir liyom hashabbat, tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulzamer l'shimcha elyon, ulzamer l'shimcha elyon, lehagid baboker chastecha, ve'munatcha baleilot, Alei gayon bechinor Mizmor shir liyom hashabbat Tov lehadot l'Adonai Ulzamer l'shimcha elyon Ulzamer l'shimcha elyon Ki timachtani Adonai b'folecha B'maaseh yadecha ranem Ma kodlu asecha Adonai Me'od amku machshevotecha Mizmor shir liyom hashabbat Tov lehodot l'Adonai Ulzamer l'shimcha elyon Ulzamer l'shimcha elyon.
a psalm, the song of the day of Shabbat. It is good to thank you, Adonai, and sing to your name most high, to proclaim your love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. Finger the lute, pluck the harp, let the sound of the lyre rise up. You gladden me with your deeds, Adonai, and I shall sing of your handiwork. How wonderful are your works, Adonai, how subtle your designs. The righteous flourish like the date palm, thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they flourish in our God's courtyards. In old age, they remain fruitful, still fresh and bountiful, proclaiming, Adonai is upright, my rock in whom there is no flaw.
Tatika tamar yifrach keres balvanon iska shetulim bebeit Adonai bechatrot Eloheinu Yafrichu od yenuvun beseva deshenim verananim iyu lehaki ki ashar Adonai Suri below Ablatabo. Adonai Malach Ladesh Ladesh Adonai Yosef Adar Aptikon Tevel Baltimore. Mikolot Mayim Rabim Adirim Mishpereyam Adir Bamarom Adonai Edotecha Ne'emnu meod Levetcha Bakodesh Adonai leorech yamim.
Kaddish Yatom for mourners and those observing Yortzeit. Yit Gadal, Vit Gadash, Shmei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'alma divra kirutei, v'amlich malchutei. B'chayechon, v'yomechon, v'chaye d'chol Beit Israel. V'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mamrach La'alam Lamei Amaya. Yitbarach v'ishtabach v'itpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei Dekudsha Brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran v'yalma v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom Yimramav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen.
Amen.
Chaverim, you may be seated. We're going to pause to reflect for a couple of moments on this week's Torah portion. I want to reflect with you again on a verse that I cited in the Shabbat sheet, wherein the text says, "Naton titen lo v'lo ye'ra levavcha," that the Torah commands us to be generous to those who are in need, and that as a result of our generosity, God will bless all our endeavors and all the efforts that we put forth. And there's a tandem of Hasidic teachings, the anonymous actually, in the book that I have. It is they're quoted as "in the name of some big famous person." I can't make that up. I'm sorry. But the idea that they suggest is the first is the idea that whatever it is that we give to those who are in need should not be something that we think of as our gift exclusively, but rather the first of the commentators looks at the verse and the redundancy of the verb naton titain, you shall surely give is how we translate it in English, but the verb to give repeats twice. And so our teacher reflects on the idea that we are merely messengers, that we are conduits for God's generosity. So the first time he says the verb naton means this is what God gives to you. The titain, this is what you take from what God has blessed you with, and you give it to those who are in need. The second of our commentators adds an even more intriguing idea to me. His comment is kind of lengthy, but I'll give you just the highlight. And he starts by citing the passage in Pirkei Avot that talks about the 4 different categories of giving tzedakah. Maimonides expands on this into 8 rungs of tzedakah, but the one that our teacher here focuses on is at the top and the bottom. The top of the rung is someone who not only gives, but creates a mechanism by which they can enable the person to no longer be in need. Rambam, when he talks about this, talks about it as helping the person find a trade, a profession, a job, something that will enable them to ultimately become self-sufficient. At the other end of the extreme, he says, giving is always a good thing, but if you give in such a manner so as to keep the person who is in need, the person who is impoverished, trapped within a cycle of poverty, then you are almost transforming giving not into an act of generosity, but in his language, an act of evil, because you're perpetuating a status and a system of dependency that precludes the person from ever escaping from a situation of need. And part of me was particularly struck by the fact that from Pirkei Avot to Maimonides to 2 centuries ago, when these comments seem to have emanated, each of them struggles with the reality of a society in which poverty persists, and the challenge is always how to not simply solve the short-term problem of need, but how to ultimately solve the problem of endemic and systemic poverty so as to perhaps at some point in the future obviate the need for this kind of giving. Ad kan. So with that, let me invite you to turn to page 27 in Sidur Sim Shalom, page 38 in Sidur Lev Shalem. Kaddish Rabbanan.
I have no idea.
Oh, here. And for those of you using the old Sim Shalom, it's on page
274.
That sounds good.
I'm sorry,
274.
274. That sounds reasonable. Yes. Then there it is. Okay. Kaddish Rabbanan, we rise as able and join together. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, Bialma divra kirute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach la'alam lo me'almaya. Yitbarach v'ishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha brichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechamata da'amiran v'alma v'imru amen. Al Yisrael v'al Rabbanan v'al Tamidehon v'al kol Tamidehon v'al kol man da'askin v'oraita diva atra hadain v'di v'chol atar v'atar Yehe lohon alohon shlama rabba china v'chista v'rachamin v'chayin arichin v'zona revicha uforkana min karam avahon divishmaya v'imru amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chaim Tovim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav, U'Barachamav Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Chaverim, you may be seated. Before we conclude with Shalom Aleichem, I just want to say Yishar Kochech to Jody for leading us in Kabbalat Shabbat this evening. Lots of things, you can see it.
We're clapping.
And the second, more banal announcement is that beginning next week, we need to adjust our starting time to 6 o'clock as the days are getting shorter. So 6 o'clock next week for Kabbalat Shabbat. And now, Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitam Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I have to say one thing. You guys don't appreciate that Myron has been trying to get both of our attention the entire time. He does not like both of us doing
Shalom,
this.
Myron.
Shabbat shalom.
Jody,
We
thank
love
you.
Myron.
everybody.
Jody, thank you. That was beautiful.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom,
Yay.
everyone.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Myron.
Woof.
There you go. Thank you.
Shabbat shalom. See you in the morning. See you in the hood.